$100,000. That includes benefits,
Do you have kids that go here?
FICA, retirement, and wages. Do we know how many teachers we're looking at position eliminating? Absolutely. We're looking at someplace around 20. It could be a little more. What does that come to a total savings? You count administrators, secretaries, maintenance, administration, about $1.5 million. What's our goal? $2.2 million. That's just closing one high school. If we add on top of that sixth grade academy, which is the other thing we proposed, that's another almost $900,000, which is all in the proposal. Comes out to a grand total of right around $2.5 million. Now, do I know if it's $2.5 million, but $2.5 million, $32.16? No. But I know it's right at that $2.5 million. Why do we shoot for $2.5 million? Because we know we're looking at a 2.2 next year. We'd like to have a little bit of a cushion. Can we go ahead and make those eliminations or cut about 20 teachers and be solvent next year? Yes.
So the consolidation.
You can't make the cut and keep the two separate buildings, because in my building, as it stands, I can't afford the cut in more teachers. And neither can Truman. If you put the two together, we can, and we're still looking at keeping those class numbers at 30 or below. And can we enrich the curriculum? Absolutely. Because every year I have AP classes, which I like to offer, but I can't because I have 13 kids sign up for it. I can't run a class with 13 kids. If she has 15 kids and I have 13 kids, that sounds like a class to me if you put the two together. And we can do those things, and instead of having two teachers, one with 13, one with 15, I now have one teacher, cut another position, and we still have the class. And that's kind of something we're looking at.
Can I finish my question, please?
Absolutely.
Fair enough, okay.
Without screaming.
Now, when you did the presentation previously, there was supposed to be some financial data. I went to the school district, I filed a FOIA request, they gave me nothing. Now, if you do have the financial data, I would like to look at it. The issue I'm concerned about is not the spending, as you're talking about, is the revenue projection. Are you using a static model, which essentially says the population stays the same, which I don't believe is realistic, or are you using a dynamic model that says you're going to have hundreds of families leave the district? That's my only question, because guess what? Let's say 300 families leave the district, you lose millions and millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to know. That was my only question.
Absolutely.
I went to the
In
district
fact, the
and asked
person
them
who
to
does
tell me.
those numbers is Dan. He's right up here.
Okay.
And every year he does the projections of how many students he believes this district's going to have. And it is as you said, a model that flows. In the 5 years I've been here, Dan has been very, very close, almost dead on. The problem with the state of Michigan is that we have to have a budget submitted before we know how many kids we have.
No, my question to
But
Dan
the point is,
if I
and
may.
that's why it's important for Dan to know, right, to make those projections, and he does a very good job.
Oh, okay, Dan.
Dan.
A lot of parents have said they will leave if you close Kennedy. They've said this. What is your mathematical projection on how many families will leave based on this decision?
Were
Do
they
you understand the
surveyed?
question?
Were they surveyed, or is this speculation? Was there an
Going to
actual
meetings
survey
is-
that went out and said, high
I believe
school
there
student
was.
parents, will you leave?
Yes, there was a survey.
Okay, and what were the results?
Well,
Based on the last meeting, a lot of parents said they were going to leave, but
That's
anyway.
a lot. 2%?
I'm asking you what number you're using. I'm not giving you a number. Dan, what number are you using, buddy? Dan, what's your number, buddy?
But if we know how many people will leave,
So you can't answer.
No, I can't speak over everyone else here. My name is Mr. Creswell. I'm the Director of People, Kind, Student Services. When doing any projections for any district that is so transient as Taylor is, it's difficult. Myers Elementary Kindergarten example, one example. 13 kids will be enrolled end of August. And then another 50 will come the first 2 weeks of September. How do I project that? So difficult, so difficult, so difficult, so difficult. But again, like Mr. Saylor said, you know, when we do our projections, we do them early. I do them early, I do them based on other data, retentions, so forth. We're declining. My projections are going to probably be coming in the next few weeks.
Are the overall populations projected to decline in the city?
Or is it just
Or
what I can tell
in
you
the city
is,
overall?
I can tell you is looking at the census data from the city of Taylor, if we go back 10 years, the city had 75,000 people in it. The last census that was done, which is a couple of years ago, we had 61,000. So the answer is yes. The number of people in the city of Taylor is declining. The U.S. Census Bureau also shows you, and you can get online, Google it. U.S. Census Bureau also tells us that the age of Taylor is increasing. when you have declining people in the city and the average age is getting older, that usually means less students, less kids. And that, once again, is something which we know is coming. And it's here. For example, I have in Kennedy about 230 seniors who are going to graduate this year. But we only have 180 eighth graders that will be coming in. And that happening at Kennedy, that's happening at Truman. So just from that alone, the attrition rate is there. And then do we have people that come and go? Absolutely we do. Every year, we've had a little bit less, a little bit less, and a little bit less. Every single year. And it's because of this, we've done everything we can to cut, but now we're at the point that we really can't cut really anymore, unless you want to put 40 kids in a classroom.
Mr. Saylor, can I make a
Yes,
suggestion?
Mr. Saylor, I'd like to direct this question to Mr. Zorn because it's probably something you can answer. I know the board had asked the committee of some questions, and to piggyback on a question this lady asked earlier, were all things considered in making this recommendation? And one of the things that wasn't talked about last time was the RFPs. And I know an independent source had done a recommendation to you that recommended against it. But clearly, isn't the only way we know if we have savings in the RFPs is to actually do them? What would you say to that, Mr.
I would say you're absolutely correct.
I'm happy to address that. I've actually got a bit of background from a corporate standpoint in dealing with that. So I can tell you from personal experience that what we went through at a company I was at about 15 years ago is the management, and I'll try to be brief because we really do want to get to the actual proposals, Mr. Saylor. It was that we went to an outsourcing firm. Frankly, we didn't have a very clear understanding on the upfront, and the initial contract went out, and we lost, I want to say, I was trying to find some numbers when this came out, about $1.4 to $1.6 million on the back end. And that's what a lot of these companies will do. They'll come in and say, oh, we got a turnkey solution and offer this. And frankly, the company that we brought in said that had the same verbiage. What you don't see is a lot of the assets that are already in place, the expenses that are already in place, that are part of the fixed assets of this organization. To peel those out to do an actual assessment is extremely difficult. So to be honest with you, I've seen some of these companies come in and do it. I've talked to friends of mine who are, one is council in another city and one city manager in another city. The trend to actually outsource major sections of government is actually being reversed these days because a lot of cities are seeing exactly that, and municipalities and organizations in general are seeing exactly that. You outsource on the promise of something, these companies come in and charge on the backside. Every time you need some inspection, some extra service, they hit you and they hit you and hit you, to the fact that if you could actually compare the true net, the bottom line, it's not there. The only way these companies really make money is they're not making the pension contribution, which is a major portion of our expense. 36% of every dollar we get from the state is turned right back around to support the pension and health care. So it's a major expenditure, and that's another factor that Mr. Saylor didn't allude to, that about 15 years ago it was about 12% of the revenue. So we would receive $1 from the state, we'd give 12 cents back. Now it's 36 cents of every dollar we turn and give back to the state for a pension system that's troubled. So that is a major factor. If everything else had remained equal, frankly, we've lost 20%, over 20% of our net revenue at a district level. I've learned this in the last year since I've been volunteering here. So, but to answer your question more specifically, an RFP to me is frankly moot. I've seen, we had this one company come in, which is the foremost company downriver. It's the company, CGA is the name of the company, you can look them up. They handle several districts downriver. I'm aware of one district that is in the process of actually booting them out because of poor service. The numbers, I don't believe, are there at all. We came in, we discussed it with them, and what they immediately started talking about turnkey solutions, but within 5 minutes of asking some not even in-depth questions, it was, well, that would be an extra charge. That would be an extra charge. That would be an extra charge, to the tune of who knows what. So, to be honest with you, that's where I'm at on that. I've seen this done at a corporate level. I've talked to a number of people who've done it at municipal and other organizational levels, and I don't think that the value's there. Hopefully
Is that shared by the whole committee?
I can't speak for anybody else. I'm just telling you, that's my opinion. I'm giving you mine.
The answer is, yeah, we brought them in, we had a very lengthy discussion with the CGA Corporation, which is a well-renowned and outsourcing company, and we drilled them over the coals pretty hard as to what their proposal. We can't, as a committee, put out an RFP.
Understood.
Only the board can. But what we can do is talk to people and then maybe make a recommendation, should we, shouldn't we? After speaking with who we thought was one of the best companies around, and that's what we were told was one of the best companies around, we looked at it and said, it's probably not our position to make that call, because we didn't have solid numbers from them, and we can't get solid numbers from them without an RFP. So
But Mike,
it's kind of a
Mr. Wade, I do
catch-22.
somewhat agree with you on that though, because in order to get that final summation of whether it's right or whether it's wrong, you have to compare apples to apples.
Exactly.
We can't request, we can't make them compare, the school board, we can't make them compare those apples to apples or request our RFP. What we were presented with wasn't what we thought it might be. However, I looked at the numbers from Penny Morgan, our current cost for operations and maintenance is 5.1. GCA is the actual company name, and when they gave the estimate, I think they threw it, they really can't give us an estimate without going to every school, to every detail. But they were somewhere between 3 and 4 million. So could there be savings there? There could be. We don't know that. So to do the RFP, it's something they could do. That's not a decision that we can make for them, but it's something that someone could bring up at a school board meeting and you could share those numbers with them as well.
But is that gonna make enough of a difference?
Well, with the current plan we have, if there
Can we
was,
hear the plan, the proposal? Because we don't even know what it is.
Thank you.
Everybody keeps asking questions and we don't
Thanks.
even know the proposal yet.
Thanks.
Can we hear that, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. The proposal, which the recommendation